Cyclone season has begun in French Polynesia, and we need to sail east against the trade winds to get to the Marquesas. We have a plan, but sailing upwind and dodging squalls is never easy. Keep watching to see how we sail in the wrong direction to the only safe haven in French Polynesia. Hi guys, today is December 1st. And that means yesterday was the official start of cyclone season here in French Polynesia. It is summer here, so opposite of the northern hemisphere. And cyclone season is essentially the same thing as hurricane season in the Caribbean. This year is an El Nino year, which means the water in this general area is warmer than usual, leading to potentially more cyclonic activity in the area. In fact, there was already a cyclone in Vanuatu, which is west of here, even before the season started. And there was a cyclone scare in Fiji. So they are expecting this season to be much more active. And most of the boats that are spending cyclone season in French Polynesia have already left and gone back to the Marquesas because there haven't been any cyclones in that area in many years. And so we would like to get back to the Marquesas as well. We just wrapped up our new rigging install, and if you guys haven't seen that video, be sure to go and watch that after this one, or pause this, go back.
Don't pause.
Don't pause. Just keep watching this. We could technically stay in this area, but this marina is going to be very uncomfortable because in December and January, the swell typically comes from the northwest, so it enters the marina pretty much exactly and ricochets off the walls and causes the docks to move up and down. The boats go kind of crazy, so it would be really uncomfortable. There's only one tiny hurricane hole anchorage in between Big Tahiti and Little Tahiti. So if there was a storm, it would be really packed with boats. The boats that stay in the Society Islands typically will go to Raiatea, but our insurance doesn't cover us there. So long story short,
Marquesas.
We need to get back to the Marquesas.
Yes.
In preparation for that passage, Fabio recently re-entered our polars and predict wind, which is what we use for weather routing.
Yeah, we needed to do it again. I had entered them before, but they weren't right. So we're getting speeds that are theoretical speeds that are much higher what really we're doing, and it was hard to calculate arrivals.
Right.
And I'm sure you know what the polars are, and if you don't, basically it's a diagram that shows the performance of a particular boat at a certain condition of wind, angle, and wind speed. And so we re-enter them. Hopefully this time are more accurate. We put like 80% of the stated performance from sea wind, both upwind and downwind. And we calculated also for the effect of waves, which do stop us quite a bit if the waves come head on. And also we put a 60% performance at night, because at night we tend to kind of reef down the sails a little bit for safety.
Yep.
So hopefully we'll be more accurate in the calculation on our arrivals.
Yes, that would be amazing.
Very important.
We really wanted to go from here to one of the islands kind of in the mid to southern Tuamotus, but the wind this time of year is predominantly from the east, and it would just be bashing upwind for 2 days. Probably. We are actually instead going to go to Tikihau, which is one of the northernmost Tuamotus. It looks like we're actually going to have a true wind angle in the 60s and 70s and true wind speed of 17. Given those conditions, we would probably have a boat speed of about like 8 or 9 based on the polars. And that would give us an apparent wind speed of about 22 and apparent wind angle of 43. So we would be able to sail all the way, which would be great. To calculate the apparent wind speed and the apparent wind angle, we actually found a really cool app. Fabio found it. It's called WindCalc from StarPath. And you can do it on paper. He did it on paper first.
Yeah, we just do the vectors on paper, and you get your angles and your speed. but with this is much faster.
Yeah, you just kind of enter a few numbers and it gives you the information. It looks like we'll be able to leave on Monday with those conditions, and hopefully everything will go according to plan.
Yes, and then once in Tikihau, we'll just spend some time there and then wait for the next weather window a few days later, hopefully, to make our way down.
Right, it looks like, I guess, approximately on the 8th, which right now it's already a week out, so conditions can change a lot in that time period. But it looks like we would be able to sail down to Fakarava.
Or motor sail.
Motor sail down to Fakarava. And then we would hope to hop over to Makamo, and that would set us up for a good angle to the Marquesas, which are like northeast of here.
A few hundred miles.
Yeah, I mean, it would more than a few hundred. It's like, it would probably be like a 4-day passage, I think. Yeah. Yep, so that is our plan for trying to get back to the Marquesas for cyclone season.
Yes, and for those that state that having dug a board is not important at all, this is the particular example of if you cannot sail upwind, it's a problem in the Marquesas. You know, to go around, to go back to the Marquesas would be a problem.
Yeah, we probably would have kept going west and then south onto New Zealand because, it would be really difficult to get back to the Marquesas.
A lot of tacking.
Yes. Hey guys, today is an exciting day. We are getting off the dock and we're going to the anchorage by the airport, and then in just 2 days we're going to be heading out to the Tuamotus. So we're going to clean the bottom and just get ready. With a little help from some new friends, we untied the lines and set off towards the nearby anchorage. Even though it was just a small step physically, getting off the dock was a relief mentally, as it meant Wanderlust was ready to cruise again. Papeete International Airport is in between the marina and the anchorage, so we needed to call port control to get permission to cross the airstrip. We were crossing over to the airport anchorage, and then we got a call back from the airport control asking us to stop our engines because there's a plane coming in. So we've stopped our engines and are keeping an eye out for a plane, which actually I think I see over there. All right, we got permission to cross, but there's an airplane either coming in or taking off in just a couple minutes, so we gotta book it. Oh my goodness, there's a plane. There's a plane coming in right now. That is totally closer than I'd like them to come. Ah. It's rush hour at Tahiti Airport. If you're enjoying this video, give it a thumbs up, leave us a comment down below, and be sure to subscribe to the channel. It really helps us out. Tahiti Airport Control, Wanderlust is clear and switching back to 16. All right, we're anchored. That is step 1 of getting back to the Marquesas. Or I guess I should say step 1 of getting to the Tuamotus. We did some final provisioning at the Papeete market to stock up on fresh produce, as we didn't know when we'd have access to such delicious veggies again.
300. Okay. You want to pay? Like this?
Yeah. Fabio cleaned the bottom, and the next day we were on our way to the Tuamotus. We were going to try and make as much easting as possible early on to try and make it to Fakarava before the weather deteriorated, but we could fall back to Rangiroa or Tikihau. I considered the brief appearance of dolphins good luck as we headed out the pass. The wind was definitely stronger than forecast, and after seeing 26 knots apparent, we decided to put 2 reefs in the main. Okay, ready?
Go ahead.
Given the tight angle of the wind, Fabio realized the jib car needed to be adjusted, so I turned into the wind to take the pressure off of it so he could move the car. Once he was done, I resumed course.
Great. What are we doing?
8.
Good. Perfect.
Okay, I'm gonna get the camera out of here.
So, yeah, get the camera out of there.
Yeah. Conditions are a bit blustery and we've got waves coming over the boat and I'm afraid the camera's gonna get wet. So it's getting put away. Right now we're rounding the northwestern side of Tahiti, and this is known as the acceleration zone because the wind, it wraps around and really accelerates around the island. So we're seeing apparent wind speeds of 28, 29 knots, but we're gonna hold out. We're not gonna take the third reef because we'll get by this area pretty soon. A huge thank you to our patrons. We are so grateful for your support. If you'd like additional content and real-time updates, consider joining the Harbors Unknown community on Patreon. What are you doing right now, Fab?
Making some poisson cru, fish crudo.
Yeah.
The French version of fish crudo, which is pretty good.
Yeah, and we're sailing upwind.
Yeah, we're pinching pretty close, like 38 apparent wind. Pretty nicely.
Yeah.
The waves are ginormous.
Right.
You can see that, but they're like 6, 8 foot.
But, I mean, we're still able to kind of function, even though obviously it's not ideal. Things aren't like falling all over.
No, it's
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Thanks for the poisson cru, Fab. I'm not feeling fabulous, but I know that I should eat something. I haven't eaten anything all day, and it's like 3, I think. Yeah. So, yeah, get something in my stomach. So thanks. It did not look like we were in Neptune's good grace, as there were a couple squalls off to port. The wind angle just changed completely. It was at 110, then it crept to 90, and now it's at 50. So we are actually much further, I guess, west than we want to be. So we're going to tack now and try and get a better angle to head further east. I don't know, it might be because of this storm here.
Tacking.
Our jib is self-tacking, so you just need to turn the helm to tack and then make any needed adjustments to the main. Now that we were on our way, Yoda and I caught a quick nap. We're coming into the evening on day 1. The wind has been kind of all over the place from like 120 degrees, which is like just south of east, and all the way up until 70, and now it's at 100. True wind is like 17 to 19, I guess. Apparent wind is 21 to 23. We're cruising along at about 6 knots. We are trying to make as much easting as possible to give us a better angle eventually for when we go to the Marquesas. We'll see where we end up, but the sea state is definitely not super comfortable. The waves are probably between 6 and 8 feet, and yeah, so we're doing the best we can. And Yoda's doing well, Fabio's doing well. How's it going over there?
Chilling.
Yoda. So we'll see you in the morning. What's going on, Pop?
There's a big squall coming to our port. The wind started going up, so we took 2 reefs going into the night, and we're just gonna wait for a little bit. I have 1 engine on just in case. It's not doing anything, just an idle, but the weather is pretty finicky up here.
Unfortunately, this was an indicator of what the rest of the night would be like as we dodged squall after squall. When I awoke the next morning, conditions had not improved. We were still bashing into waves and I was feeling quite squeamish. Fabio insisted on sleeping in the cockpit. Looks like we're coming up on yet another squall. In the distance ahead, we could see the island of Marquesas, a raised coral atoll with spectacular cliffs rising to 260 feet above sea level. Formerly a phosphate mining center, the population was only 68 as of 2012. We'd heard there were 3 mooring balls on the western side of the island, but we wanted to make as much progress as possible before conditions worsened. Well, this has been kind of a brutal passage so far. Just upwind, beating into the waves. And last night, I think we had like 3 squalls, 1 to 35 knots, rain, and the whole shebang. We were trying to do some more easting, head to one of the Tuamotus further east so that we could get a better angle for the Marquesas, but this morning we realized that we wouldn't make it in by dark tonight if we went anywhere further south than Tiki House, and the weather is supposed to deteriorate even further with more squalls, and so we decided just to turn back and go to Tiki House. So that's where we're headed now. The wind is just fluctuating like crazy, kind of all over the place. It was 13 knots, so we decided to pull out the screecher, get full main, and then of course now we've got a current wind of like 21, 22, which is really when we should be furling the screecher. So we're just gonna hang on a second and see if the wind goes down. Sailing, you just gotta be super adaptable and adapt to every situation that you're given. On upwind passages like this, it's difficult to get Yoda to go potty on the nets up front. She's afraid of the waves splashing up towards the trampolines. I tried to train her to go on a piece of turf so we could move it wherever was safest and most comfortable, but it didn't work out. Like there's a squall up ahead and we were kind of like 21, 22 knots, so we furled the screecher and unfurled the jib just to be safe.
Yeah, we have another squall coming. It's a big son of a gun. All the way across. Wind so far hasn't really changed yet. Still about 19 knots through.
What's the apparent wind if it's 19 true?
The wind is 19.
Oh, God. We're definitely gonna get wet. The wind changed direction totally. Now it's coming from the north, basically. And it got really cold, so we decided just as a precaution to drop the main, because sometimes when the weather shifts like that, the winds can be really strong.
Yeah, so at least now, if we get 30 knots of wind from the wrong direction, we're like, okay.
Yeah.
It really changed incredibly. We went from 100 to 27.
Yeah.
Just in a second, a fraction of a...
I know, and it was 9.
Yeah. It's crazy weather.
These squalls were predicted for later this evening, but obviously they came early. Plus, these localized storms, you can't. I don't think they're able to predict them, especially in such a remote area. Good news. The storm went by in front of us and it's heading west, so it just went straight across in front of us. Believe it or not, but there's another squall right behind us. I looked over to starboard and there he is. We are motoring right now because the apparent wind angle was just like totally kind of on our nose around 30, so we wouldn't be able to sail. And plus the wind speed is now down to like 7, so the two combined we wouldn't really be able to make much headway, and we could always, I guess, tack back and forth, but it's 12:30 and we're still about 30 miles away. Ideally we would be at the pass at like 4:30 because of the tides. So we'll see. So that means we have to actually move. How's the autopilot doing?
So far, so good.
Awesome.
Like the joke, you know?
Huh?
You know the joke?
What? No.
This guy that jumps from the 50-story building.
Oh.
And as he goes down each floor, the people at the window say, "So far, so good."
Yoda, why aren't you eating your food? Our luck ran out and we ended up getting one of the squalls. It's raining but not too bad, but on the radar it looks huge. How's the rigging looking?
It really looks good. It still wobbles a little bit. So I sent a video to the riggers and it said I should probably turn it 2 more turns on each side. You don't want to turn it too much, otherwise it's going to bend the amas up and you break the boat. So just enough. If you do it too much, then you can open the doors downstairs. So
A little bit at a time.
a little bit at a time, yeah, but better than before.
Yeah. We can see land! It is such a relief when you're seasick to know that you're going to be able to stop soon. We should be there at the pass probably in just under an hour, and then I don't think the anchorage is too far, and hopefully everything will go smoothly. We still have some squalls around us, but it stopped raining. The wind is very low and we really need to make it before dark, so we're motoring, but what can you do? That's life on passage. Excited to get to shore, Yoda? Yeah? You ready, girl? Yes. Yes. That's right. We're almost there, less than a mile away, and got what looks to be one last squall on the horizon, but hopefully we can get anchored before that comes in, or maybe even better, it's moving the other way. As we approached the pass, Fabio pulled up the satellite chart on his phone and I went up front to help with visual navigation. The path ahead seemed clear, though there were breaking waves on starboard and a river of current flowing into the lagoon on port. Wanderlust handled it like a champ, and we made it through the pass without a problem. We turned towards the nearby anchorage, still keeping an eye out for bommies and pearl floats as there are active pearl farms here. Thankfully, the oyster growing areas seem to be fenced off, as you see here. I took the helm so Fabio could drop the anchor. We have to float our chain here, so Fabio clipped the pearl floats on and dropped them in one by one. Once the bridle was in place, I backed down on the anchor, but unfortunately, we were dragging. Fabio jumped in the water to see why we're dragging, and it appears to be shallow sand on rocks, so I don't know what we're gonna do just yet. Just as we were pulling up the anchor to try and re-anchor again, this came through. So we're waiting a moment. Hopefully we can get hooked after this. Fortunately, we were able to get anchored and spent the next couple days waiting on a weather window to sail further east to Fakarava.